What is up, everybody? It is Thursday. It's Thursday, February 13th, and this is Outdoor Cats. My name's Bill, as always, joined by Chris Rabarge. Chris, how you doing?
Oh, I'm okay. I got a little bit of a respiratory thing, like I guess everyone else in the world does, but I'm doing okay. I slept a lot, and I'm fired up and ready to go.
I love to hear it, and I love that we are doing this digitally.
Yeah, you don't want this. You don't want it.
I've been mercilessly. I have not mercilessly. The opposite of that. I am grateful that I have not gotten whatever this terrible thing is going around Worcester. I'm sure a good number of our listeners, being that this is a Worcester podcast, know what we're talking about. It is really nasty, whatever it is.
Excuse me.
Oh, there you go.
I will try to mute my coughs, but I failed.
No, that's okay. It lends a certain authenticity. You know, he's not lying, folks. He really is sick. Chris, we're trying something different today. And I think it's going to be a lot of fun. And it might be a little awkward or difficult to pull off our vision, but why not try and do cool new things? This is our 11th episode. We got to start innovating. You know what I mean? So we're trying to do a clip show, going back over, pulling out some highlights from the city council meeting on Tuesday. And like I lost count of how many people showed up to speak about two items on the city council agenda. But the speakers were so good and we were so fired up on everything that they had to say that we figured the best thing that we could possibly add to the sort of media scrum afterwards is to, just pull some of these voices out and let them do the talking. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So, you're about to hear two guys who've been podcasting for less than 3 months, who've never done a clip show, try to pull off a clip show. And hopefully it works. But we've said before, Bill, one of the most valuable things I think we can use this platform to do is actually center the voices of other people who are in the battles that we're here talking about every week. And so it feels really important to do that this week.
That's right. Let's move to this first clip we have pulled up, who is one of the first speakers of the night. Her name is Rita, and she goes by Dr. Bitch on Twitter, and she's a professor at Worcester State and did a really nice sort of spoken word poetry piece at the rally before the meeting. But this is what Rita had to say at the meeting.
Normally, I would say good evening, but through the chair, I will only impart my sour grapes. My name is Dr. Rita Mukherjee. I'm an assistant professor at Worcester State University, and I am appalled at the circumstances that have brought me here this evening. I will keep my remarks concise. Through the chair, I offer three things for not just City Council, but for my queer family here in Worcester and for the very confused people who keep attacking our community. The first of which is pertinent to the English language. They, them as a singular pronoun has been in use since the 14th century. No one in this room...
looking right at Fred.
No one in this room is as old as the 14th century, so I'm going to ask for some adaptation. Second, I would like to share that the popular comment I've seen on social media, on Reddit, attacking our city, attacking all the beautiful things that we have built here in Worcester, says people are too sensitive these days. Language shouldn't matter. And I would love for that to be the case. I agree that this is a poor use of our time. So I ask, I implore that we adapt, that we correct our language, and I thank, through the chair, the members of City Council who have taken accountability and apologized for their transphobic and bigoted behavior. We don't demand perfection, but we do ask for growth. And third and finally, I invite, not in angst, not in bad faith, but in calling in a long-standing practice of intersectional politics, I invite every member, through the chair, of City Council to come to my queer studies classroom at Worcester State University. You are all welcome every time, but be aware that you are a guest in my house when you come. And when you come, know that there are strong queer and trans people in my classroom who will collect you with the quickness if you speak out of turn. I'll conclude here. Yes, of course. To quote our Congresswoman Ayanna Pressley, we will continue to bring the fire until you see the light.
Wow. What a way to start it. And yeah, we should say that that when Rita made that comment there about the singular they them pronouns, and you can't see it because this is an audio podcast, obviously, but she looked over at our very own Fred Nathan, one of our sort of routine city council commenters who comments every week and is sort of like a simple mind and a very conservative one, and tried to pull out the dictionary and say that if you look at the dictionary, they and them means for two people. So I don't know, right? It's just crazy.
Yeah. What's anyone think? Go ahead and write in or call the tip line, which is a number we'll definitely remember to post and say in episodes soon. Actually, do we have a tip line yet, Bill?
We're gonna get the tip. We're getting the tip line going. The tip.
We're gonna have a tip line soon.
Keep talking,
when it is
I'll look
up,
it up.
when the tip line is up, I invite you to call in and give us the over under on how many decades you think it's been since Fred Nathan has opened a dictionary.
Right. Yeah. We have a tip line, folks. The tip line is, everyone write this down. Get out your pens, get out your pencils, get out your pads of paper.
Don't stop driving your car. Just look down.
Just look down while you're driving. Punch this in on the iPad. 508-556. Okay. 508-556-1017. Again, that is 508-556-1017. We would love to hear from you. And in the future, if we get people actually using this tip line, we are going to do a tip line episode. We're going to play all the hot gossip that people leave for us.
If you'd like to be anonymous, just say so, and we will keep you anonymous. If you would like to have your voice disguised, that's probably something we can pull off to do. We'll figure it out. But yes, please call.
Please call. And I know exactly how to disguise voices. Using the hilarious GarageBand vocal effects, so that'll be fine. Yeah, just point that out.
We can make you sound like a monster. We can make you sound like an alien.
Right? Yeah, you can sound like. In fact, just give us some notes on how you'd like to sound, and we'll figure it out. But anyway, moving on here. It looks like, you know what? I think we got to play this next clip that my little cursor's on right now. Anyway, this is Noah Rose, who I have not spoken to, but someone that's been very active in this whole thing and has been showing up week after week for the past month or so, and is sort of deeply involved with the organizing of all of this. So let's play Noah here.
Yeah. Also a Woo Fridge All-Star. Let me shout him out.
All right.
Hi. My name is Katie. I'm from District 5, and I'm speaking in support of agenda items 10B and 14B. Right now in our country, Trump is threatening the trans and gender diverse community. He is using policy to take away protections. He is making it hard for trans people to renew passports, to get the care they need. He is trying to erase us. These are not anxieties. These are indisputable facts. And he will not stop with trans people. He will not stop with immigrants. But he is limited. He is a president, not a king. And he has the powers of a president as well as the limitations of one. So my question to the council is this. If he is going to use policy to hurt people, how can we use it to protect them? How can we stand up and say that we won't allow him to dictate what we do in our city? The spirit of Worcester is one of standing up to those who seek to do harm. We stood up against the KKK in 1924, and organizations like the YWCA stand up against equality today. What side of history do we want to be on? To address the fear of losing federal funding, we are already at risk. We are a liberal city in a liberal state that has espoused values that are to the contrary of the president's own. We have immigrants, LGBTQ folks, allies, and intellectuals whose ideas are a threat to his regime. And we are so proud. We are proud to be a city that prioritizes its citizens over bigotry and hate. It is worth the risk. Please be brave and vote yes on agenda item 14B. We must be strong if we are going to withstand the bullying of fascists. Lastly, and please investigate misconduct amongst yourselves. It takes a great deal of courage to stand up to your enemies, but a great deal more to stand up to your friends.
Which they didn't do.
Look at how you treat people. Look at how your fellows treat people, and ask yourself if that is the best y'all can be. Take ownership of wrongs. The lights turned off. Apologize for them and grow from them. Thank you for your time.
I forgot.
Like it. It's a vibe.
I forgot about the lights getting turned off. That only happened one time, but it seemed like they were testing out a new way to tell people not to talk.
Yeah, I completely forgot that happened. I was on stream, obviously. I will only say, I don't know how that made you feel in the room. I got terrified. Like, my nerves are just shot. I got really scared that something really bad was about to happen.
What, with the lights getting turned off?
Yeah, just everything feels so tense and whatever. I was like, what is about to happen? But then it got fixed.
Yeah. We'll get to it, but there was one speaker that made me incredibly nervous. But I want to focus on the good speakers. So maybe later in the show, we'll get to the one batshit crazy, like absolutely crazy speaker that we had.
Also, that was not Noah, was it?
I guess. Well,
was Noah using a different name that looked like Noah?
I think it was Noah, but they were reading for someone else.
Okay, gotcha.
Which is something that Noah did the meeting prior as well. So
okay.
I'm pretty sure that was Noah reading for Katie. But if that was just Katie, then Katie, that was awesome. Great job.
Yes.
But I think that we should pause right here and talk about the fact that the city council, yes, did vote 9-2 to support the resolution to declare Worcester a sanctuary for trans and gender diverse people. That's good. That's great. That's bare minimum. That happened, and in the days since, we've seen the mayor especially get a lot of shine for that. So I think right now, what we heard at the end of Noah/Katie's address there, we got to talk about the other vote that they took, which is way more indicative of who these people are and what they think and feel about the issue of bullying on the basis of gender. There was also an order, so you're going to hear people throughout this entire clip show talk about 14B and 10B. 10B was an order filed by Councilor Hajai to have the council initiate a council-led investigation into the slur that Candy Merrill Carlson used against Tu Nguyen, and then other abusive behavior, including saying that Attel's not a real refugee. The council voted against that.
Yeah.
The council voted against that decidedly. The vote was, I believe, 4-7. The 4 people who voted for that investigation were to Attel, Louis Ojeda, credit to Louis, always surprising me, being a little bit better than I thought he would be, and Christian King, obviously. The most interesting vote against was Jenny Pasillo, who this is what I'm going to be writing about this week, just like the fundamental failure there to legislate on morals and not try to be a part of whatever weird club it is that actually governs Worcester. Because Jenny Pasillo, before voting to file the request for an investigation, said, did the cop out that everyone else has been talking about. You can just file for an investigation with MCAD, which is the Massachusetts Commission
Against Discrimination.
Right. And in theory, that would be a good venue for this sort of investigation. In practice, that's not helpful at all.
MCAD takes 12 to 18 months, sometimes longer, to even return someone's phone call sometimes, let alone to conduct and complete an investigation. And when they're done conducting and completing an investigation, they have effectively no teeth to do anything about it. So it's a complete cop-out. I stopped recommending people even bother with MCAD years ago. Yeah. It is useless. Don't waste your time. And while I have the mic here for a second, I just want to say, just to kind of spell it out, 14B, the resolution to declare Worcester a sanctuary city for transgender and gender diverse people, is a very, very important symbolic gesture. And we won on that. And that's a big deal. However, it is a symbolic gesture. For 10B, for an investigation to be conducted by a third party was not a symbolic gesture. It would have been an actual investigation that something could have been done with. And they threw it directly in the garbage. And since you brought up Louis, I will big up Louis and say that Louis has really been surprising me. Louis feels like someone who can feel and understand the moment and rise to meet it. And by contrast, Jenny Pasillo, I keep doing that, is someone who has utterly failed several times on several different things to rise and meet the moment, and has settled very nicely into being a crony councilor who is going to be a one-term, no import, goodbye, see you later, I'll forget you were ever here councilor. I'll say that.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. Functionally, it's just like Tony Economou, who used to have the seat and is running for the seat again. It's the same vote when it matters. It's just a slightly nicer face. So yeah, useless. Bye-bye. Really like Jenny as a person, awful as a city councilor. And what that vote allowed was, so Katie Merrill Carlson got up and addressed the allegations later in the night and said that there was no proof. You got no proof, which was a confident statement, especially when somebody knows that an investigation isn't going to be initiated, right?
Interesting time to say it, isn't it?
Right. And Candy said that before the vote was taken, but not before she knew how the vote was going to go. So yes. Jenny was not the deciding vote. If Jenny had voted the right way, with moral authority and the conscience of a human being, it still would have been 6-5 to file it. But that makes it even worse, because Jenny didn't have to do that to like be a member of the club. That's just what she wanted to do.
When someone shows you who they are, believe them.
Exactly. And I think that that's all the time that we should really spend on that, because we got some great
Yes.
clips. We got some great
We
clips
do.
to get to. And, you know, that's the point of the night, is that this resolution that the council voted on was submitted by a member of the public. It was submitted by Ali Sislo, who's been on this show to talk about the Gaza resolution. The council didn't have to do anything but vote on this. This entire thing is resident led, and the public comment, which was more impactful and is even making more waves in conservative media now, is the entire point of this. The council is irrelevant to the story of this resolution passing. So the people that I've seen giving Joe Petty credit for it, it's just crazy to me. It's crazy making.
Don't do that.
The people who
have some
deserve
dignity.
Right. Have some self-respect for your own intelligence, right? The people who deserve the credit are the people that we're highlighting in this clip show, the people that came out to speak, that put them in the position where only Donna Colorio and Mo Bergman were like just resolute enough in the wretchedness of their spirit that they couldn't vote for this. Everyone else, even if they were uncomfortable about it, had to vote for it. You know, even Candy Merrill Carlson, who's the most documented transphobe on the city council, voted for it, right?
Correct.
Anyone who wasn't just like stubbornly conservative, like Vampire and Thrall, Bergman and Colorio, still haven't figured out which one's the vampire and which one's the Thrall, but we will eventually. They're the only two that put up this sort of bad faith argument that, you know, oh, the big scary Trump's going to take away our grant funding if we say sanctuary. They just don't understand the law. I don't know how that guy works as a fucking lawyer, by the way, and I don't know if he does, to be honest, but he a fucking a loose grip on the way that the law works is all I'll say about that.
Yeah, without digressing, because we want to get back to the clips, but as someone who's worked with a lot of attorneys and a lot of dumb attorneys, unfortunately, a thing that is very trivial to do is to maintain a bar card while you don't actually practice law. And lots of shitty attorneys do it. And I don't know that Mo does it, but I haven't seen him. I haven't seen him on a legal filing ever. I've never seen him at the courthouse.
Right. Yeah. Which is a perfect way to transition to this next clip, which was one of the most touching moments of the night. We have a little kid come up and explain basic morality to the city council. Let's play it.
This one? Does it work? Yep. Oh, it does work.
He's also wearing a shirt with an upside-down American flag on it.
My name is Axel, and
that says land back.
I've been noticing people here are trying to control the rights of others, and that's not right. We should make Worcester a sanctuary city for trans people. Everybody deserves to feel safe, and everybody needs to feel safe. I've lived here for 4 years, and there hasn't really been any changes in how people feel safe in the city. My birthday is this Saturday, and all I want is peace and for you to vote yes. Please don't let me down for my birthday. There's a lot of queer people that I love, and to Candy Carlson, you should know to never call someone I'm 7 and I know better. The kids are watching and we're ready to vote you out.
Oh my God. I'm 7 and I know better. That
Yes.
is, oh jeez. That's crazy.
Ooh, that's fucking embarrassing. Also notice that Joe Petty did not interject to tell this 7-year-old child to direct his comments at the chair.
Right. Yeah. That's Joe Petty showed a remarkable amount of political acumen there to not scream at a little kid. You know, sometimes he surprises you. You know, he can be kind of smart sometimes. Oh, you know what? I remember vaguely that the little kid's dad had some nice things to say as well. So let's just keep it rolling from here.
Okay.
Hello, my name's Antonio. I'm a resident of District 5. I just want to say that I am hoping and wishing that the city that is so welcoming and loving to people would continue on that path and vote yes for 14B. And I yield the rest of my time, so the next time Mayor Petty thinks to wrap it up, he'll give someone some more time. Thank you.
Oh, that's nice. I am kind of stunned that Joe Petty has not implemented a better system, and is it wants the ability to speak over people and say, "Can you wrap it up? Can you wrap it up?" Because that seems to be something that really, really affects people who haven't been around a lot. Who've sort of just started coming to city council meetings, and obviously it's really shitty to just talk over somebody until they stop talking. It's kind of weird they don't see that.
It's really true. I've given public testimony in other government bodies, and I've never been to one that does it this way. Usually there's some kind of a timer, some kind of a light or something to give you some indication of where you are. But what it has the effect to do, I think not unintentionally, is to, especially for the inexperienced, to arrest you in the middle of your comment, usually right at the apex of your comment, usually right when you're nailing your point home at the end.
Yeah, it's just the optics are terrible, and simple technology would fix that. Let's see here. There were some mothers of trans children that spoke, and I think that I have one in mind, and I think that is something that's really important. Here we go. Kirsten Fraser.
For those not able to see what we're doing, we are literally going through the video in real time. So if there are little gaps here and there, we'll try to get rid of them. But we are finding spots in a 5-hour video while we're doing this.
Based off of a transcription of not a transcription. What is it when you do that sort of math thing? The time of the evening versus the time of the video. So 7:17 p.m. What does that translate to in terms of the timestamp of the video? But anyway, we got the next one pulled up.
Here we go.
My name is Kirsten Fraser. I am a resident of Worcester, and I'm also an educator of students at North High. I teach students who are multilingual. English is a new language. I come to you tonight with a number of things. I'm definitely supporting 8L. It is important that we have empathetic and knowledgeable people to help provide the unhoused with supports and helpful information. Like somebody else said, nothing about us without us. Also, I am very much against 10A. There is no point in being secretive about public complaints. Bringing things into executive session only reinforces the good old boy network, and we're above that as a city.
Let's talk about 10A after this.
10B.
I wish we were.
Again, this is asking the city council to take something seriously. We need to acknowledge the need for transparency and the fact that we need to move beyond our system, the old systems of suppression and ignorance. And moving forward is painful. Yes, we know this, but it is also healing. And by the way, we do still need those apologies. Thank you very much. Definitely in favor of 10F and G because, again, transparency is a big thing. 11A, of course, we need to continue celebrating Black History Month because in spite of what's coming down from Washington, we all know that we all exist and we all need to be recognized for our existence. Which leads me into 14B. Mayor Petty, you told me on Thursday last week that you were listening. You remembered how many children I have and that 2 of them are trans. You're listening to respond and recall, and this goes for most of the council. That's a good political skill, but it's not listening to understand. You have had countless people coming here before you with this entire last month and previously as well, courageously testifying about their pain, their fear, no, not just their fear, their abject terror about what's going on in this country today. and the way that everybody is feeling targeted. But you have not heard. You have not understood at what people have been telling you. You have not tried to put yourself in somebody else's shoes. You have not shown an ounce of empathy. Rather, you have ignored and discounted our pain and made us feel less than. If Worcester truly is a welcoming city, put action behind those words tonight and vote yes on this resolution. Thank you.
Yeah. Again, can you wrap up your comments? Just coming through like just landing like lead. Kirsten was talking about Thursday, and it's two things. One, it's such a good point to point out that there's a difference between listening to like recall and listening to understand. And in so much as any of these city councilors are listening, very, very few are listening to understand. And any of them that are listening, which is, we've both been in the room, it's usually none of them, not none of them. It's usually just like a tell, basically. They're not listening to understand. They're listening to absorb and be able to recall, to show that they were listening, which is a good political skill.
They are also often taking notes, to the extent that they're listening at all, taking notes much like you would in a courtroom, to be able to defend against the things that are being said or to cross-examine them.
Right. Yeah. Candy does that. She scribbles maliciously the entire time, unlike anything that's in front of her. All work and no play makes Candy a dull boy, But Kristen brought up Thursday, which is I wrote about it in my last post. Thursday was school committee. School committee was crazy, and just real quick, resolution filed by Sue Mailman to sort of do the same thing that this resolution on the city council is doing was changed like at the last minute by Molly McCullough in an obviously pre-coordinated stunt that Joe Petty, as chairman of the school committee, endorsed, changing the text of the resolution from supporting LGBTQ plus youth to like all students. So that's what Kirsten was talking about. On Thursday, they pulled an All Lives Matter on queer students in the Worcester Public Schools, which is crazy. That has sort of blown over, and people are focusing more on the more immediate news of the city council voting affirmative. But just remember that Joe Petty voted to All Lives Matter just 4 days before voting for this trans sanctuary resolution. So,
yes, he did. In a adaptation or amendment to a resolution that existed on the floor that was amended basically in real time by the school committee, by people, including the mayor, who had previously discussed this beforehand. And a thing I'd like to flag about that, I'm not ready myself personally yet to name a name, but someone who's been very active in city politics works for the Massachusetts, the Mass Association of School Committees, who apparently was consulted at length about changing this resolution. And so let's just let that hang in the air for a minute. You can think about that.
Yeah, that's out there. And a lot of silence on local issues since then, I will say. But anyway, that's as far as we need to go down that road. Let's hear from a trans person who showed up and spoke directly.
Good evening. My name is Kayla. I'm a transgender Worcester resident of District 3, Ward 5, and I'm here representing Worcester DSA in support of 14B. We stand in full solidarity with the LGBTQ plus community. We support every instance of working people fighting for their rights, and we're staunchly against the erasure of queer identities. Whether the City Council decides to admit it tonight or not, queer people aren't going anywhere. In recent years, we've all witnessed an alarming rise in the attacks on marginalized communities, none more so than LGBT individuals, and especially transgender and non-binary individuals. The Trump administration's executive orders, which seek to dismantle protections against discrimination based on gender identity and sexual orientation, are part of a broader campaign to strip away the rights of dignity of the most vulnerable among us. Every working class person, regardless of their gender or sexual identity, deserves to live with dignity and the freedom to be themselves. They deserve health care, they deserve discrimination protections at work, they deserve to participate in the public sphere without fear. It's only right that, that Worcester makes a clear statement affirming that we will protect our own. Anything less is a concession to injustice and an endorsement of oppression. But more than that, this resolution would be a crucial step in building society rooted in solidarity, justice, and equality. As socialists, we believe that liberation of the oppressed will not come from the top down, but from the bottom up. Thanks. It is the duty of our communities to protect one another, to ensure that no one is left behind or silenced in the face of bigotry. We want this to be a step towards building, with our own hands, a future where everyone, regardless of their gender, sexual orientation, race, or class, can live free from desperation, fear, and discrimination. I encourage anyone in this room who shares these values, believes in fighting for a world where working people of every identity can live fully and freely, to join us in this fight.
Thank you.
So, real quick, everyone is here today to stand for justice, and it's only right that we demand our city councilors do the same. We stand with our transgender and non-binary siblings, stand with our queer and questioning youth, we stand with all those who have been made to feel less than or invisible in the eyes of the state. So please declare our city a sanctuary city for LGBTQ individuals. Thank you.
I like the line there about, it's got to be built ground up, not top down. That's very much a necessary point to keep making over and over and over again. And it's also how this resolution came to be. I mean, this resolution came out of a months-long activation of the city's queer community, directly following two new ends bringing to light that Candy Mel Carlson has been running around calling them it. I mean, that was the inception point of this entire thing, which is another thing that makes it really sort of gross that the mayor, who's refused to do anything about that or even condemn it or even say it out loud, has been getting the shine for this. Joe Petty has been at most antagonistic to this the entire way.
Yeah, and let me draw a line while you hunt for our next clip real quick here. Let me draw a line, an intersectional organizing line, a ground-up intersectional organizing line between the organizing that happened around the Gaza ceasefire resolution and the organizing that has happened around this. Because I have been told that one of the times that Candy called to a transphobic slur was during the city council night where the Gaza ceasefire resolution was voted down. Right. And the person who brought this resolution, this trans sanctuary resolution to the table, as you mentioned, is Ali, who was very central in the Gaza organizing, but has continued to be there and has brought a number of people out who were active in that organizing, the Gaza organizing, to this organizing. And that is what the fuck we need to be doing. That is so important.
Right. And here's a little example of why it's important and why intersectionality of struggle and building up a mass base of people who are all going to look out for each other is more important than anything we could be asking of from the city council specifically. It's not the city council who's going to really do anything for us. It's, that the mutual aid and the shared sort of understanding that we need to protect each other that is going to protect us from this next speaker, who is the only time I have really wished for there to be metal detectors in. I was holding my breath the entire time for this guy.
Trigger warning, seriously.
Big trigger warnings. Skip ahead 3 minutes if you don't want to hear some of the wildest,
eugenics, self-eugenics.
This is a guy who stands out in front of Planned Parenthood every Thursday. I mean, if anybody has a carton of eggs that they want to get rid of in a video game type scenario, this guy and a lot of people like him are members of our local pro-life community, who are a lot actually closer to the halls of power than you might think, and certainly than we are. So without any further ado, we've said the trigger warning. Skip ahead 3 minutes if you don't want to hear this stuff, but I think that we should play this just to give some contrast.
John Provost, Worcester. I want to speak against these 14B and these other amendments, Mr. Mayor, simply because, okay, let me give you my background. I'm legally blind. And when I was, born and brought up in the schools, and
morally
I got
blind
picked
as
on
well.
a lot, and I grew up in doing menial jobs, and so I never amounted to anything and never got a mate. Well, you know what, Mayor? That is called natural selection. And you can make all the proclamations you want. You can make all the rules and whatever you want, but you cannot change nature.
Yeah, go ahead and finish.
Let him finish.
Okay.
No.
Yeah, let him finish. Joe.
That's all. Thank you.
Oh yeah. Thanks for letting him finish there, Joe.
Yeah.
What?
Stop right there. Stop right there for 1 second, Bill.
Yeah.
A little close to the sun here. I just want to say, just to be clear, the thought about where you can find him every Thursday and the thought about a dozen eggs are two completely separate thoughts. They exist in their own context, in their own universes. We are not connecting those things together. What you do with that information is up to you. This is a parody comedy podcast, and we are making jokes.
Right. Like in the game Red Dead Redemption, you can go to a country store, right?
Mm-hmm.
And in that video game, you can buy a dozen eggs. And in that video game, you could say get on a horse or on the on the back of a carriage and arrive somewhere in that video game and drop the eggs from your inventory at a specific spot in the video game. And
Arthur, the main character in Red Dead Redemption, could do that.
Right. Arthur, the main character in Red Dead Redemption, could do that. And obviously it goes without saying that problem pregnancy is not in the video game Red Dead Redemption, which is what we were talking about. Nor are the people that stand outside of it every Thursday from in the morning, I believe, maybe the afternoon. Those aren't in the video game either. So I don't know who would conflate the two thoughts.
Yeah, that's on you.
Yeah. And I think that we've said enough about that. We need to get back to the clip show because it couldn't possibly be that somebody comes back from that insane comment with an impossibly cool zinger. That couldn't happen, right? That couldn't happen.
It's hard to follow up on eugenics, but my name is Caden Davis.
That was the coolest part and we're going to play Caden's entire clip, but I just want to pause for a second to say that was the coolest thing about the entire meeting is when Caden came up and said, well, I can't top eugenics. Yeah, I think that, so you had Fred Nathan at the beginning. You had John Provost there. And you had one speaker that was sort of trying to back up John Provost over the telephone right at the end, who was similarly unintelligible.
Yeah, we're not going to play that shit. Just believe it happened.
Yeah, we're not going to play that shit. We're not going to play Fred's either because who fucking cares? But that was like the tenor of the opposition to this is like it's completely like John Provost was being more honest about the insanity fueling the hatred of trans people than anybody that you're going to see on Fox News. John Provost said that you can't stick up for trans people because he was born blind and never found a mate.
Yeah. Because I'm a loser and an incel.
Right. Yeah. So you can't trans people can't exist because I never got any pussy. that is his argument. And I think a lot of the arguments on that side of the people that are accepting this scapegoat of what they call like gender hysteria or the gender agenda or whatever. So much of it is motivated by the sort of self-hatred that John Provost expressed. It comes from a deep place of self-loathing. It comes from issues that these people are incapable and, societally prevented from being able to untangle or say out loud or express these deep insecurities. And at the end of the day, that's not my fucking problem. You're all weaklings. You're all little babies, and you're all on the other side of the fence. In a video game style if and when scenario, you have put a little red mark above your head.
Above your head.
Above your head. You've put a little red mark above your head. In an if and when like video game style scenario, it's a line you don't cross. It's a line you simply don't cross. And once you've crossed it, I've lost all sympathy for you.
Yeah. And we're doing a clip show. And if we can, play enough clips, you're going to hear one side of this debate just asking for help and protection and a safe place to be, a safe place where they can live their lives and do their careers. By the way, so many people coming up and telling you about their jobs, including city jobs. Like, I am a trans person and this is what else I am. And it was worth playing John's comment, as fucking disgusting as it is, because this is the opposing argument. The opposing argument is I am a fucking loser. I never amounted to anything in my life. Life hasn't been fair to me. And I am standing here like a fucking entitled baby telling you to make that everyone else's problem.
Right. You aren't allowed to make a decision that makes you feel more comfortable with your life. Because
you can't have joy because I never had it.
Exactly. And it's sort of part of what makes that rejoinder. I didn't know eugenics. I don't know how to follow up on eugenics. Is that it came from a trans person, Caden Davis, who we're about to play the rest of the clip from, has shown up at, I think this is their third meeting speaking, and they do an amazing job of speaking from the heart. So let's, as a sort of a palate cleanser, as a way to wash all of that scum off of us, let's just listen to what Caden had to say.
My pronouns are he, him, and I'm a Worcester resident. And once again, like all of us, I'm standing before you, demanding, no longer asking, for my humanity to be recognized. Over the last several weeks, you have heard from hundreds of people calling for this city to affirm its values and to take a stand for what is right. And yet, here we are again, another week, still pleading, still fighting for basic dignity. But this week, I want to be crystal clear. This is no longer a request. This is a demand. You were elected to serve the people of this city, not to sit in comfort while we beg for protection. You work for us, not for your own self-interest, not for political convenience, not for the comfort of the powerful. And I will keep coming back here over and over and over and over, again, reminding you of that for as long as it takes. In addition to declaring Worcester a sanctuary city for queer and trans people, I'm also demanding, once again, as is the theme, that you deliver a public apology to Councilor Nguyen and launch an independent investigation into this council. Stop using procedural delays and excuses. Nope. The fact that there is still a sitting councilor who used a slur in the first place is beyond me. It is disgraceful, and your inaction speaks volumes about what you are willing to tolerate in this chamber. The uncomfortable reality is that under this administration, under this moment in history, like so many others, we are required to do things that will put targets on our backs if we want to do what is right. That includes you. If you're too afraid to take that stand, if you're more concerned with optics than with people's lives, then let me be crystal clear again, you're failing this city. Stop being cowards, do the right thing, declare this city a sanctuary city, issue Councilor Nguyen a public apology, and launch an investigation into this council, and do it now.
All right, Caden, if you're listening, run for city council. Run for city council. I'll vote for you 20 times. I swear to God. I will vote for you as many times as I possibly can.
I'm already pulling voter registrations. Lots of them.
Lots of them. I'm
parody.
I'm going to the cemetery. Yeah, we're really flying close to the sun on this episode. Right?
That's all right. It's a comedy podcast.
It's a comedy podcast.
People allege things, and then we just, make jokes about them.
Yeah. Plus, I don't know. Shit was a little bit better for the working class back when we used to buy people lunches to go vote. So I don't know. I don't really have a problem with that. Who doesn't like a bagged lunch? Who would eat 40 bagged lunches? I would. Yeah. No, but Caden very effectively delivering the demands of the moment. And in retrospect, we have seen the city follow through on exactly one of the three. Those are pass the resolution that you didn't write and had nothing to do with, declaring the city trans sanctuary, issue a public apology to Nguyen. There have only been individual apologies from some of the councilors. There has not been a public apology from the body. And launched an investigation into Katie Merrill Carlson's bigotry that they voted against expressly. They voted to file it. So they didn't meet the moment, actually. They failed to meet the moment, as is so often the case.
The body, I think, kind of apologized, but that actually also just underscores, I think, what everyone really wants, which is Candy Merrill Carlson, you apologize publicly for the
Candy
thing
Merrill Carlson has
you
not
did.
Apologized. She's not even admitted it.
Correct.
And refused to admit it.
She has not admitted it, nor has she categorically denied it. If someone said to me, Chris, you used it as a transphobic slur, I would categorically deny it because I would know there was no version of myself that would ever have done that.
Right.
Candy has not done that.
She's done the whole I do not recall thing. This next clip, I was just randomly searching around, but I remember it being really, really good. So I can't remember anything about this. I have no notes about this, but I remember this clip, this speaker being right on the money and sort of extrapolating this to some wider themes of the moment.
Step the hell down. Thank you.
I'll just leave that in. That wasn't the speaker, but that was sick.
Good evening, City Council. My name is Aidan Brickner. I'm a resident of District 4, and I'm speaking on behalf of item 14B. I want to draw a historical analogy for the Council tonight. I apologize if you've heard it before. I will attribute that solely to its relevance. The Institute for the Science of Sexuality in Berlin was the first of its kind in gender and sexuality research, and one of the first victims of a Nazi book burning. This institute provided treatment for STDs, gynecological health services, marital and sex counseling, and more. Notably, it campaigned for LGBT rights and tolerance on rational grounds. In May of 1933, accompanied by a brass band, Nazi-sympathizing students and paramilitary members burned an estimated 20 to 25,000 books and items, the single largest repository of works about sexuality at the time, and would not be replicated anywhere on Earth until 1947. In early February, the Trump administration began removing any mention of transgender people from government websites. The State Department site now provides information for LGB travelers and LGB prospective adoptive parents, omitting the T from the acronym. The CDC has removed its Youth Risk Behavior Survey from their site, one of the only resources of federal data on LGBT youth. Resources for avoiding discrimination based on sexual orientation has vanished from the site for the Department of Labor. And then there is, of course, the executive order declaring that the United States only recognizes two sexes. Both of these actions, a century and an ocean apart, both originate from fascist ideology and both have the same goal: to reduce the visibility and validity of those with queer identities, to say firmly you have no place in our society, and to say that these people are negligible, to open the door for further oppression, which will happen. This will not be the last time we hear from the Trump admin on trans rights. And that is where my analogy ends. Take it further if you wish and extrapolate. Myself and many others here to speak today already have. But know this. When Councilors Bergman and Colorio chose to table this discussion last week, in the interest of maintaining federal funding, what they said is essentially this: it will cost too much money to defend our LGBT constituents. That those constituents, those community members, those neighbors are negligible. Their right to dignity and happiness can be dismissed if the impact is too great on the city's bottom line. So I would like to request from Councilors Bergman and Colorio, how much for one trans life? How many dollars does it take to put them on the chopping block? I want a precise number. I want a dollar amount. And who next? Who's the next protected group to be tied to the railroad tracks, and will you fold for them? Now is the time to stand up for tyranny. Now is the time to defend your constituents. Now is the time to say that if federal money relies on the dehumanization of trans people, that we don't want your goddamn money, because it's not going to stop with them.
Thank you.
I expect the council to make the correct decision tonight. Do not disappoint the people in this way. I want to trust the city council to look after us. If you cannot do that, then the people will find a way, with your approval or without it, and I don't think you'll like that very much. Thank you.
We love the second speaker that we've highlighted tonight. That is that ended with a promise. We'll say that's a really good move, ending your address to the city council with a promise. And I think that is a question that we haven't gotten an answer from, but I would love to get an answer. I would love to get an answer. How much? What's the dollar figure? How much money is one trans life worth to you?
It feels to me to be a completely valid question.
I kind of think, based on the way that they were talking about it, it's like $1. Just one. I don't want to spend much time talking about Mo Bergman or Donna Colorio's arguments. Donna Colorio didn't even really make an argument. Mo Bergman did the arguing for both of them, like a good vampire / thrall would do. And it amounted to being scared that Trump will unilaterally look at the small city of Worcester, Massachusetts, and say, "No more federal funding for you." And that's laughable that would happen, but if it did happen, we had 4 hours of testimony about how we'd make it through that. So I think that it's much more important, as that speaker put it, to put your line in the sand than it is to capitulate to a certain budding fascist movement.
It is the only moral choice, and I can't believe that we and all of these people and a fucking 7-year-old have to explain that to them. I can believe it, but it is unbelievable in a way,
Right.
in a moral and ethical way.
Yeah, and Mo Bergman or Donna Calorio didn't hear that. They're not going to hear that. We shouldn't expect them to learn from this and learn anything, because they've shown themselves to be on the other side of that line in the sand. And the only thing left for us to do about that is ignore them and render them powerless. Taking away their city council seats would be great. They are also among the lowest vote getting at-large councilors. So something to keep in mind. The two people that are the worst on this issue, well, no, besides Candy Merrill Carlson, the two people who are willing to be publicly the worst on this issue, certainly not the worst. Candy is the worst, but the two people who were so bad that they couldn't even bring themselves around to vote for this purely symbolic resolution, they are 5th and 6th or 4th and 5th every year in the at-large council race. So they are easy marks. They are the people that we can make suffer the quickest in November. Once they're out of public life, we never have to hear or think about them ever again. Bye-bye. That's what we need to be focused on, because we're not winning any arguments, because in order to win an argument, there has to be like a coming to an understanding.
And I'll say it again, explicitly: bully them because they are bullies, and that's the only language that bullies understand. Taunt them and call them cowards because that's what they are. And if you want to leave the notion of a scenario for them of what might happen if if the temperature continues to increase and the vestiges of civility and decorum were to evaporate, feel free to do that too.
Oh my God. Oh, we got to play this one. We got to play this one. This is the kind of comment that will have Joe Petty absolutely shaking in his boots. We have here somebody who copped to having a Petty sign on their lawn, who is the sort of nice old lady who comprises maybe 60% of the electorate as it stands right now. And this is the way that sort of core constituent for the Joe Petty agenda is currently speaking on this issue.
This scared Joe Petty more than anything else that was said on Tuesday night.
Yeah. Would that he could confine this contagion to the blue hairs, but now the silver hairs are involved. So shit's getting serious.
Hello, my name is Jerry Gillen, and I didn't prepare anything because I didn't expect to be speaking here tonight. The first time that I ever went to a city council meeting was last week, and I went home.
Big theme recently.
And I was so appalled at the reception that speakers who were breaking my heart was getting from this council. There were people texting on their phones. There were people who weren't looking at them. And Mayor Petty, I had signs on my lawn for you for many years. And that's the last time they will be there. I have spent 47 years. I am retired. I'm 72 years old. We moved here in 1979 from Vermont. And people said to me, what are you doing in Worcester when you could be living in Burlington, Vermont? And I said, I love this city. Yes, my father worked on his first campaign. Anyway, We love Worcester, and that's why we've stayed here instead of moving back. Right now, I am really disappointed in this city. I started to say I've spent 47 years as a teacher and as a teacher educator. And I used to say to my students at Providence College, where I taught for 27 years, every day when you get in front of your classroom, you have the power. And you can either elect to do the right thing or you can do the wrong thing. And I would be very proud of you if you always elect to do the right thing, even if it's not the popular thing. So thank you.
Eviscerated. That when you have somebody like that speaking to Joe Petty, I mean, he's looking at his stock among the 15% of people who actually vote in municipal elections plummeting. Whereas before, he might have looked out at this crowd and been like, "Oh, this is Clark University showing up."
Yeah, these fucking people don't vote.
Yeah, these fucking people don't vote. No, you're seeing that, and you're starting to think, "Oh shit, maybe this is the tip of the iceberg."
Yeah, real nice little touch in there of her mentioning Burlington. Hopefully, it came through on the stream. So her mentioning Burlington, someone in the audience yelling "Go Bernie," and her without missing a beat saying, "Yes, my father worked on his first campaign."
Yes, so cool. That is, that would be a fun episode. Put a pin in that in the future to pull out the history books and look at what Bernie did as mayor.
Yes,
it would be. I've done a little bit of digging on that, and it's pretty inspiring stuff. But
yeah, I know a fair bit about this too. So let's talk about it sometime. I think that'd be really fun.
Yeah, I think it'd be a great. It'd be a wellspring of inspiration. All right, this next clip might be the perfect sort of last clip to play because it calls to mind a vision of the Worcester of old and how the Worcester of old may have handled the current moment that we're in.
Mr. Mayor, Reverend Brent Newberry, resident of Worcester, and I have the honor of serving as the pastor of the First Baptist Church of Worcester, established in 1812. I do want to make clear I'm speaking on my own behalf and not the congregation's.
Multiple clergy
if it would be
spoke,
possible
by the
to
way.
have everyone's attention on the council. Thank you. I just want to remind us of two things, our shared humanity and our shared history. On our shared history, we need to recall another period of time when the federal government tried to intimidate good people into bad actions through the law, the Fugitive Slave Act of 1850. That law prohibited people from interfering with the recapture of enslaved people who had escaped, with punishments up to $1,000 or $40,000 in today's dollars. It also deputized others with promises of reimbursements if they'd turn in their fellow black neighbors. In 1854, a black man named Anthony Burns was captured by a notorious bounty hunting officer, and Worcester, known as a hotbed of abolitionism, sprung to action, rescued Mr. Burns from jail, and chased off the officer. The issue of entrapping black people in Worcester was resolved after that, as word spread beyond the city not to try it here again. The federal government flexed, and Worcester's residents flexed right back. We must remember our shared history together. Now, I do understand it's an imperfect metaphor to equate this moment, and I'm speaking about 14B and 10B, with slavery, and I understand that there are moral issues that some have with this discussion. But this is where we must remember our shared humanity. Doing the right thing shouldn't hinge on whether you agree, are comfortable with the discussion, or are afraid of the consequences to yourself, but on whether your neighbors, and in each of your unique cases, your constituents, are being or are at risk of being intimidated, threatened, and dehumanized. And if someone is telling you they are, then remembering our shared humanity means you believe them and work to protect them. We might risk We might risk retribution from the current administration, not unlike the 1850s, but honoring the dignity of every person requires doing the brave thing, like so many folks have shown tonight.
Wrap up your comments, please.
We must resist the intimidation and flex back with the power of justice and decency and what's right. And when the next executive order comes down, let's rewind it back and do it all over again and again and again and again until we are a safe space for everyone. In conclusion, Worcester has been a sanctuary for hundreds of years, and I hope history will look back on this night and those to come with the same admiration and awe we hold for those brave conductors of the Underground Railroad who did the brave thing because it was the right thing. Thank you.
Who did the brave thing because it was the right thing.
Yeah.
The city council.
You go ahead. I have some thoughts on this when you're done.
Sure. Real quick, the city council did not do the brave thing, has yet to do the brave thing.
Spoiler alert.
And couldn't even do the right thing here all that bravely. But Chris, I wonder how you feel about that.
Yeah, I think this is a perfect place for us to wrap up. And I so appreciate this comment as a part of sort of the cornucopia of what we've been able to collect here. I'll have a little more to say about that when we wrap. But I am so proud to live in Worcester for a lot of reasons. I'm so proud of the normal people that I share this city with, the hardworking people, as some jerk off mentioned in a shitty way. Oh, Jim Polito on Fox News. This used to be a blue collar town. Jim Polito, you're from fucking Shrewsbury, and this is a blue collar town. So fuck you. But I'm proud that there's 90 something languages spoken in our schools. I'm proud to share this city with so many people who fled an unimaginable violence and persecution that is unimaginable to us, and chose to make this their home. And I am really goddamn proud of the history that this city has as a hotbed of justice and equality, and standing up and doing something when something is wrong. In our pre-Revolutionary War history, there were some English magistrates that were fucking with people's money and doing all kinds of things that regular people in Worcester didn't like. And you know what they did? They went into their fucking courthouses, they marched them out, and they marched them out of town.
Mm-hmm.
During slavery, Worcester was a hotbed of the abolitionist movement. It was one of the strongest centers of the abolitionist movement and abolitionist thought in the entire country. It was a stop and a safe haven for freed slaves. And in the 1920s, someone referenced it. I'm not going to remember the exact date. At the heyday of the second rising of the Ku Klux Klan, the Ku Klux Klan held a massive rally here. They held it at what is now, well, it's not Becker College because that's gone, but at the old Worcester Agricultural Fairgrounds, which is where Becker College was situated. And they came into town, and you might have heard of a sundown town before. It's a place where people used to go, where people of color used to go, and people there would say, don't let the sun set on you here. Bad things will happen to you.
Right.
A bunch of brave people in Worcester went to that Klan rally where they were outnumbered, and they said, don't let the sun set on you here. And when it did, they fucked them up. They threw rocks at them. They beat them up. They destroyed their cars and lit them on fire, and they drove them out of the city in terror, and they never came back in the same way ever again because it worked. And I know that there's people who have issues with the civility and decorum or the way that we talk about and frame those things. Those people don't listen to the podcast anyway, so whatever. This
Right.
is why I feel the way that I do, because nonviolence and turning the other cheek has in fact not always been the answer. And let's say that. And thank you to this gentleman for saying it.
Right. The thing that makes nonviolence work is the tacit threat of violence.
Right behind it.
We have completely forgotten about that.
MLK doesn't get where MLK got if Malcolm X wasn't standing right behind him.
That's exactly right. And that's an important note to continue to stress as we see the landscape shift under our feet. Not to engage in any sort of like apocalyptic fear mongering, but like let's all be adults about this. We might find ourselves in a situation like that in the near future. It's worth thinking about.
I'll stop ranting now. I promise. I tell people all the time, and I'll tell you all this. As this moment approaches, or as this moment is here and continues to intensify, really think about how far you are willing to go, and as the law changes and becomes unjust, how far outside the law you are willing to go. Really think about it. Think about how much you are willing to face in consequences, including legal and criminal consequences, because not to be all like revolutionary on you. That's not my intent, but this stuff is real and it's happened before, and all indications are we're headed right towards it again. And you do not want to be making that decision in the heat of the moment. You want to have an idea of what your answer to that question is before you're put in it. And that's when you'll make better decisions about how much you are willing to risk your freedom, your body, to protect vulnerable people. And I'll leave it at that.
Yeah, I think that it's a good metric to be measuring people along right now, to sort of suss out who you can trust and who you can't. Yep. Someone we know we can't trust, but we already knew this. Close followers of the city council already knew this. Just ahead of the vote on this resolution. I mean, thank God this resolution passed, even though that's all the city council had to do was just vote for it. Yep. But goddamn fucking idiot Kate Toomey tries to amend the language of it to say that we're a safe haven for
a safe harbor.
Safe harbor. She was like safe haven, a safe harbor, whatever the language is, to sort of ameliorate or assuage the concerns of Mo Bergman and Donna Colorio that were bad faith concerns to fucking begin with, about how using the language sanctuary is going to put the city in hot water with the federal administration and we're going to lose all this funding. Kate Toomey tried to, hedge her bets against that right away before even voting for it. Tried to capitulate to the anti-trans sort of campaign of the federal government, while saying that she supports our local trans community. You can't do that. You can't have it both ways. If you're already capitulating like that, then you've shown me what side you're on. You're useless. Luckily, it didn't
Can't
work.
square that circle.
Yeah, luckily it didn't work, because the petitioner was right in the room. Allie was like right in the room. She's like, I'm in the room and I don't consent to that. So Kate had to kind of be bullied into withdrawing her motion, if I remember correctly.
Also, a few of the counselors that I think we can trust and count on a little bit more made it very clear. I believe it was two actually who said it. They said, if you're hoping for a unanimous vote by All Lives Mattering this language as well, I'm letting you know right now you won't be getting one.
Yeah, you're not getting. I'm voting it, which is what you should do. Which is exactly what Sue Mailman and Vanessa Alvarez did at school committee last week, yes. voting against the All Lives Mattering of it. It's very important because this is symbolic, yes, and as a symbol, it is rendered completely moot by a capitulation built into it. If you're going to capitulate on the symbol, what are you going to do in the real situation, right?
Yeah, and we've talked about their weird tricks, and this is one of them. The weird trick is a bunch of people who've already violated open meeting law and discussed this before the meeting in quorum, because that's how they get more than half the vote. Right. which is something that I think is going to come up in the near future. So just watch out for that. What they do is they make a plan that no one else is privy to do this at the last minute and dare you to vote against it, dare you to be on the record against the trans and gender spectrum. I'm not using the right language that they
gender
use.
diverse, trans and gender diverse language. Yeah.
Yeah. Dare you to be on the record against that. We all know what's the proof in the pudding. That doesn't all get written down in the city council agenda. The vote goes down as what the vote goes down as. It's yes and no's.
Right.
Don't fall for their trick.
Yeah, and that trick isn't working.
No.
It's which is great. As the more like of these silly little tricks that we can render meaningless and moot, the better. And because it's all paper tiger bullshit, it all collapses as soon as it's called out. Because these are not serious people, and this is in many ways not a serious city, which makes it so ripe for a takeover because they're not sending their best to Worcester, Massachusetts.
No. These people are dumb. They're not smart. Most of them are not savvy. Some of them are savvy in their certain ways, but most of them are just not very bright. Period.
Right. Yeah. Which is the most important thing to remember. But Chris, I have to get going. I gotta leave. I'm going down to Travis Duda Hunchback Gallery. He's doing a gallery showing tonight for some Valentine's Day themed pieces that are going to be up for the rest of the month. So check that out when you're eventually listening to this, hopefully later tonight or tomorrow. Katie has a really, really impressive piece of stained glass in there. So
awesome.
That's where I'm going.
Enjoy yourself. The last thing I'll just say quickly is there were 3 hours of public comment on Tuesday night, most of which, 98% of which, was absolute fire. I wish we could have played everything, but especially with us yapping along in between, that would have taken us literally probably 5 hours to do. If we skipped your comment, it wasn't because it wasn't amazing. It was. And we appreciate that you stood up and said it.
For sure. It was a really special night, and it demonstrated that there's a lot of energy around changing the city and making it better. And the trick now is, how do we channel that into November? And that's, a question. It's a good question that I think is more productive than asking, how do you change Joe Petty's mind or how do you change Mo Bergman's mind? It's not going to happen. But don't
waste your time.
No, it's how do we build a bigger coalition than they've got? And I think it's very possible. I think we've shown how possible it is these past couple of meetings. So stay strong, everyone who came out to speak. Thank you so much. We got to win. We made a good thing happen, and we should all feel proud about that.
Yes.
All right, Chris. We'll talk soon and have another one out next week.
Sounds good. Later, everybody.
We'll show these fascists what a couple of hillbillies can do. Well, I'm going to tell you fascists, you may be surprised. People in this world are getting organized. You're bound to lose. You fascists bound to lose. All you fascists bound to lose. I said, all you fascists bound to lose. Yes, sir. All you fascists bound to lose. You're bound to lose. You fascists bound to lose. There's people of every nation marching side by side, marching across the fields where 1 million fascists died. You're bound to lose. You fascists bound to lose. Oh,